Welcome back to this week's Reading Gem. We're going to do something a little bit different this week, and I want to share with you something that we hope, and I hope that you would really take to heart and try to incorporate into your class and encourage your students to possibly incorporate into their personal study goals. But recently, in the March 2024 Liahona, Elder Bednar shared this digital-only message, our General Conference walk-in talk, but it shares the quote that I already shared before from President Lee that says that he urges members of the church to let the General Conference messages be the guide to their walk and talk during the next 6 months. And these are the important matters the Lord sees fit to reveal to his people in this day. Then President Kimball also had quoted at one time, "No text or volume outside the standard works of the church should have such a prominent place on our personal library shelves." Now, we know how awesome General Conference is, and one of our goals of seminaries and institutes is to draw our students to the words of all prophets, living and those that are in Scripture. And so one way to do that in our classes, I just want to share a few things. One way to do that is to invite our students, especially in this day of more technology and modern technology, and a lot of students have electronic devices. I want to share this little thing that I made up here. This is on a PDF, but it's meant to be printed out, and then you cut out these little squares. But each one of these squares is a electronic scripture study cue for students. So if you have students that are using their electronic scriptures and they have the Gospel Library app, the idea here is that as you're studying in class and you're going over a certain block of scripture, you will hand out these little cards to students that have electronic scriptures and just ask them and say, hey, as we're studying today and we're going through this, for example, on this first one, I want you to find a General Conference quote that either clarifies, deepens, confirms, or testifies of the things that we're talking about, to add the witness of modern day prophets and promises or things that are being shared there. So you would just hand out this card to them, and you might hand out multiple cards doing the same thing to your students. And then invite them to do that and say, hey, I'm going to call on you at some point in time to share what you found. Or you can just offer it up at any time that you see it as well. This can really help engage our students in their electronic scriptures even more so, and also teach them to learn how to use the different parts of the Gospel Library app to actually deepen their study. Now you can actually invite students to maybe think about this week of incorporating some of these study ideas and how they can incorporate studying the words of the living prophets of this conference with the Book of Mormon over the next 6 months until the fall, as they continue on and come back with you next fall. Now, the other cues that I have here is find a youth devotional quote. They can go to the youth section and go to the youth devotionals, the general worldwide youth devotionals, and search through theirs during class and be able to share some quotes and some guidance of living prophets that are just meant for the youth today on the topics that you're talking about in class. I have another one that's find a cross-reference scripture. We can use electronics to easily find so many cross-reference to scriptures, and so that's a cue to help them do that. Another cue, use the topics and questions section in the Gospel Library app to find a quote, scripture, explanation. Get them used to going there and using that, because it's a beautiful place where doctrines are defined and there's resources shared that help us focus in on true doctrine. And then I left on this sheet a few blank ones that if you had another thought of some way that you want to invite your students to go in and dig into the scriptures, then you can write in your own and share those, and you just pass them out during class and bring them right back during the class. And so this week, I would really encourage you to take some time as you talk about and you review and follow up on their scripture study goals and how that's going, to encourage them, possibly using Elder Bednar's words back here from our General Conference walk-in talk of the Liahona, to encourage your students to think about incorporating General Conference into their regular study and looking at what the modern day prophets are promising and asking us to pay attention to so that they can receive the promised blessings of today in their lives. And then in class, use those little cards to help them practice using these things as well, and keeping alive in our seminary classes the walk and talk of General Conference, and not just maybe playing a game once that we might have already did, a Jeopardy game or something where we review it, but keep conference alive. Keep the words of the living prophets married with the scriptures as we go throughout the rest of the semester and into the fall as we continue on. I hope that's helpful in some ways. Below, look for the link in the description for the link to that PDF document to print those out and make your own cues for electronic scripture study. Have a wonderful week and know that you're loved.